there are 10 Spiros. Okay, those 10 Sefiros. I'm going to try the word Sefiros. If you're Sephardi, please say Sefirot. Okay, if you're Ashkenazi, you say Sefiros. Okay, just the way it goes. By the way, neither of us are right. Neither of us are right. It's actually, believe it or not, it's Sefirot. Yeah, but walk around saying that, So it's Spiros. Because the Yemenites know how to actually say a taf without a dot. So it's not Shabbos, like Ashkenazim, and it's not Shabbat, like Sephardim. It's Shabbat. Go around saying that. You'll get real popular. Now, there's 10 Spiros, and they're broken down. These 10 Spiros are broken down into 3 and 7. Okay? So if we have a 3-7 breakdown, the 3-7 breakdown works like this. You have 3 that are going to be hidden, and there are going to be 7 that are revealed. Okay? 3 hidden, 7 revealed. How many Spiros? 10. How do they break down? 3 and 7. What are the 3? Hidden. What are the 7? Revealed. Very good. Now, the hidden are hidden because they're intellectual. These are intellectual things that are hidden, just like if Ariel, right? If Ariel was walking down the street and you're wondering like where he's going, is there any way to figure out where he's going? I mean, you could follow him, but does Ariel know where he's going? Let's hope, okay? But let's say Ariel knows, usually when someone's walking down the street, and let's say he's walking down in a determined way. So he obviously knows where he's going, but it's hidden to us. Why? It's locked in his brain. You could interview him. You could ask him, where are you going? And he could tell us. But it's hidden because it's still in the intellect. Okay? Anyway, the intellect is hidden. Like even right now. I'm revealing right now what's going on in my mind. But while it's still in my mind, you have no idea what I'm about to say. In fact, I have no idea what I'm about to say most of the time. And so it's hidden, clear? And the 7 revealed ones are now, I don't know, let's say in his mind was to buy ice cream. So the 7 revealed are, well, he's walking towards an ice cream store, okay? He's not cutting into a hardware store, because any man could get lost in for hours. He's staying focused on where he's going. And he goes into the ice cream store, and he stretches out his hand with the money, and he takes the ice cream, and now he's enjoying. All of that stuff of Ariel walking to the ice cream store, paying for the ice cream, licking the ice cream, those are going to be the 7. Is that clear? Because that stuff you can video. Can I video what his mind's doing while he's walking? No. But all the other stuff I can video. Now, the thing we need to know about the 3 hidden Spiros is that they are simply the right brain, the left brain, and the decisive brain. So the right brain is called the associative. That's the associative mind. So when you brainstorm and you think about how this relates to that and that relates to this and this relates to that, and you know what I'm talking about, where you're just everything, you're having a conversation with someone, and you realize you're on such a different subject, and you're like, how did we ever get to that? But if you actually trace back the conversation, because this related to that and that related to this, it's called associative thinking. And that's where your genius is, by the way. It's in the associative mind. Okay? And the term for this in Hebrew of the associative thinking is called chokhmah. Okay, so I'll put the Hebrew here. I'm going to do it in English letters. Everyone say the word chokhmah. Chokhmah, which is the associative mind. Okay? Now, you have a totally different left side of your mind, of the intellect, which is the analytical mind. Okay? It's your analytical mind that's like figuring things out. So Ariel's mind says, well, I just feel like dairy. Just want some dairy. Yeah? That's the associative mind. That's chokhmah. But then he starts thinking, I could have milk, I could have pizza, I could have yogurt, I could have ice cream. Oh, ice cream. I want some ice cream. Okay? Now, this is going to happen all over again because when he gets inside, he's going to go back to the second one, which is the analytical mind. Okay? The analytical mind is the left brain, by no coincidence. Okay? Is called Bina. Everyone try the word Bina. Bina. Bina is the left brain, and that's the analytical mind. And what's happening is he gets in there and he's looking at all these flavors and he's like, what do I choose? What do I choose? I could have the banana, I could have the strawberry, I could have banana with strawberry, I could have the vanilla, I could have the chocolate. Maybe I should wake up with an iced coffee. You know, they're all dairy. But then he says, I'll have the strawberry ice cream. And that is the third type of the hidden attributes, and that is the word, the decisive mind. Okay, the decisive mind. Clear? And that in Hebrew is called das, or if you're Sephardi, da'at. Everyone try the word das. And this third one is called da'at. And that is the decisive mind. So it's like, hey, I want to build a house. That's what? Chokhmah. I want to build a house. Everyone tell me what attribute? Loud. Try that again. Everyone, no, you got it right, but say it loud. I want to build a house. Say it loud. Chokhmah. Yeah? Oh, what kind of house do I want to build? Do I want a Tudor house? Do I want a French house? Do I want a Spanish style house? How many stories do I want that house? Maybe I want a basement in the foundations, or maybe I'm just not interested in a basement. How much money do I have to spend? How quickly I want this house built? What can I afford? Maybe I could get it built with extra workers and get it done in 2 months. What attribute is all that? Bina, say it loud. Bina. Say it proud. Say it strong. Okay, Bina. So then what happens is you say, I want this kind of house, and I want that kind of living room, and this kind of bedroom, and that's called, what do you call that when it comes out on a big white piece of paper? Excellent. Kind of. It's called a blueprint. It's called a blueprint. When you get all that on paper, and decisions have finally been made, it's on the blueprint. That's a decisive mind, a very unique thing. And that is why people go through hell trying to build houses, because most people lack the third attribute. Most people, in fact, probably a lot of you even in this room, suffer from indecisiveness. But if you look at people, and especially the main guy who works for me, he's a total Bina guy. You understand? So I totally rely on him to be handling all the analytical issues that we have to deal with all the time. Whereas I'm always coming up with like new brainstorming ideas and like, now we're going to go do this and now we're going to do that. And sometimes he says to me like, you're crazy. You know, like, how am I going to implement this? But if I can somehow convince him I'm not crazy, check head, I think. So then he'll go to work. Okay, Das is the blueprint. It's the decision. We're clear now? You got the three hidden ones? Is there any mystery at this point to the first three? Yes, because get them done. Get your answers, questions now, so that you finally get the 10 Sefirot clear. In Kabbalah, you're going to see some of the words have different definitions. Bina is used for intuition when it comes to women, but actually women are not great at analytical type things, as much as they are. Usually mixture balance between associative and analytical. But like, for example, the most analytical part of all of Judaism is what? What book? The Talmud. And women do not like learning Talmud. They just don't like it. Yeah? What's that? Well, women may like it, but women generally don't. I definitely have met women who enjoy it. Yeah, and they're very intimidating people. Part of Torah called Shulchan Aruch, and women are very into that. Like, they like to know what do I do? Shulchan Aruch is what do I do? In human beings, this would be like the Kabbalist. This would be the Talmudist, and this is a very special guy. It's one in hundreds who can do it, and they're called the Posek. Posek means, you can hear it just in the sound. Posek, it means to cut. In fact, a sentence in the Torah that breaks up the Torah between, every sentence broken up, is called pasuk. And there are these rare individuals, one in thousands, who's called a posek. Now, there are a lot of other people that have das, and I call them halachticians, like a beautician. They're halachticians, okay? They know a lot of halacha, but you do not go ask them your questions, at least if they have any serious ramifications. Don't go to halachticians, or you're going to be sorry, okay? You go to a posek. A posek's this rare individual who hears your question and thinks through all of Torah to find out a way to answer that question for you in a way that you feel connected to God through the answer of what to go do now, which may be something very different than the strict halacha says. May be very different. And in fact, there are, for those of you who are raised more observant, there is such a thing as going to a posek and saying, this is what my family's been doing forever, but no one does this, I just realized, because I was at a Shabbos table and saw them doing something else, and I was like, what do I do? It's like our tradition. So you go to the rabbi and you say, what do you do? And he says, now if you went to a halachtician, so he'd be opening up a halachic digest, probably written in the last 100 years, and he'd say, listen, it says not like that, you can't do that. But if you go to a posek, he would say, let me check it out for you, I'll be back later. And he goes into the books and he checks it out and he says, you know what? There was a Rishon who did exactly like that. A Rishon lived 1,000 years ago. There's sections of Jewish history. He finds a Rishon that's exactly what they did. And so you call him back 2 hours later and he says, you guys you're gold. Just do it. You got a Rishon. Just stick with that Rishon. You're all set. Yeah? That's a posek. Posek gets you and he gets your family and he understands what's the ramifications. Can you imagine essential students getting all strict about something because they talked to a halachtician and now they're like freaking out their families when they get back to wherever they're from with all kinds of stringencies that were totally unnecessary, but they went to a halachtician and now they've got their whole family like angry about their latest like Jewish revival going on. So that's where poskim come in and they're like, yeah, that's interesting. I'll give you an example of we have to eat kosher food, and when it comes to meat, the meat has to be, especially frozen meat, has to be dealt with, meaning raw meat, has to be dealt with by a Jew who keeps Shabbat. Because any person who keeps Shabbat, which is mostly by yourself, like you're at your house, no lights, you're not messing with stuff, it means that you have a certain reverence of God. That even when you're alone and no one's looking, God's looking. That's someone who keeps Shabbat. You get that? Someone who keeps Shabbat has a different level of reverence than someone who just maybe keeps kosher. And so to trust someone with the meat you're going to eat, who could have easily swapped it for cheaper meat, they have to be someone who keeps kosher, or there has to be a supervisor type of setup in that restaurant or whatever it is. So can an Aish student go back to his mother's kitchen and eat the meat that she's preparing, and she doesn't know nothing about Shabbat? And they went to the kosher butcher together. It's kosher meat. Now he's going out to surf for a few hours. She's going to prepare lunch. Can he eat the meat? According to the principle of halacha, what's the answer? Can't eat the meat. Why? We just said why. Someone who's not chip. But if you went to a posek, the posek says a Jewish mother doesn't want to trip her son up. Unless she's crazy. There are crazy moms, believe me. Over 20 years here, I've heard a lot of stories. But the majority of the stories, and moms don't want to screw up their son. They don't want to mess up their child who's like so interested in this. They may not even be into it. Meaning the parents may not be excited or even happy about it at all. But the mom's not going to mess up her son. And so a posek says, you can eat it. You hear the difference between a full-on family fire to, peace in the home? And that's the difference between a posek and a halachtician, which isn't really our subject, so I kind of feel bad I digress so much. But I hope that was informative to some people here. Basically, the idea is stay away from experts in halacha. The 7 revealed, starting with the attribute of flow. Okay? And flow is, in Hebrew, called chesed. Everyone say the word chesed nice and strong. Chesed. Chesed. Hesed does not mean kindness, okay? It does mean kindness, not in Kabbalah, okay? Just like Bina is not necessarily a woman's greatest attribute, okay? But Hesed means flow, and it is the most destructive thing that could ever be. Imagine if the sun had unbridled flow. No more ozone, no more atmosphere, just pure flow. How would we do? Yeah, we'd be cooked, okay? Let's just say the seashore stopped doing its job. It happened in Southeast Asia a few years ago. What if the seashore stopped doing its job and just let the water do its job? What's water's job? Flow. It wouldn't look good, okay? Wouldn't look good. Tel Aviv would be underwater, okay? Now, you get what this attribute is? This attribute is called Chesed, and it is dangerous, okay? The bar scene in downtown Jerusalem, okay? Most people in normal life govern their intimacy, okay? Just like the seashore and the ozone, okay? In town, what's the main attribute going on downtown at night? Chesed, okay? Yeah, next time you go downtown, you just be, I'm on a chesed mission. But flow, in and of itself, is dangerous. In fact, our Torah calls, by the way, this isn't just the Kabbalists making it up. The actual Torah says that incest is chesed. It actually puts the words chesed, it puts the word chesed there. Brother and sister cohabitating. It says chesed he. It's a chesed. Why is it a chesed? Because you're supposed to have borders. You're supposed to have boundaries. And if that boundary is broken, it's chesed. You get that? Now the next attribute is called limit or limitation, which is the attribute of, in Hebrew, gevura. Everyone say the word gevura? Gevura. Okay, gevura means limitation of flow. Seashore, ozone, everything. That guard at the door is total gevura. He's just like, that guy's gevura. The seashore is gevura. Someone having proper borders of intimacy between him and someone else has the attribute of gevura. You understand? That's limitation. This light bulb is just shining, man. It would burn the wood. But it's being contained by what attribute? Say it. Louder. Gevura. This bottle has water in it, and it's being contained by gevura. And notice how that water just goes in whatever shape the gevura is in. Everything in this world is chesed and gevura. Your table was a round tree once, and it got planed. It was like, help! And it got gevura'd into this table. The frame of your table was molten metal, which is what? Chesed or gevura? Is chesed, right? Molten metal. It went into a mold, which was, what attribute? Gevura. This stuff's everywhere. Everywhere. When I play my guitar, I zipped it, but when I play my guitar, just open strings. Just let all the strings oscillate fully. Clang, 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 clang. It sounds terrible. What attribute? Chesed. Then I limit the oscillations on the fretboard with my fingers with very specific spots that sound beautiful. And that's called what? What's my left hand? That's gevura. I'm limiting the oscillation of those strings, and that's limit. Guys, I don't know if you're realizing what's going on here. We're doing the 10 Spiros. Our Kabbalists said that the whole world's made of the 10 Spiros. We've only gotten here to numbers 5, and this is everywhere you've ever looked, all 5 of them, always, constantly going on at all times. And we're going to keep going. But I want you to start realizing that the face of God is everywhere around you. It's everywhere around you. It's all that's going on here. Meaning God gave these 10 ways. God created the world in these 10 ways, but it's not just that. He says, I'm giving you a way to know me. Like we know you because of Amner, and we know you because of the way you'll dress and stuff. You're showing us ways to know you. So God said, it could be in some other planet I'm known other ways. I mean, there's a lot of galaxies. God could be doing totally different things in different places. But for our planet, God said, I'm giving you 10 ways to know me. And these are those 10. And only our Kabbalists know them, and also shamans and stuff like that know it. And it's so cool because once you get it, you see it everywhere. I'm speaking to my child who just tried to make cheese sandwich in a VHS machine, okay? Should I be doing chesed or gevurah right now? And the question is, meaning what's gevurah? Limiting my showing of love. To your kid, you're always showing love. But should you limit it a little just so the kid feels what it's like when he's done something wrong? Feel that kind of loss of sunlight upon him from his parents. Pretty scary feeling. You got to be careful how much. Everywhere, in every relationship, in everything. The windows around us, these door frames were flow put into, you understand, this room itself is a container of gevurah that compared to the building, which is, got its flow, but we are a contained classroom, which is gevurah, okay? This stuff's everywhere, and the more you get to know it, the more you start to freak out on Hashem. Tiferes, which is called beauty, which is called Tiferes. Okay, the third attribute is Tiferes. If you're Sephardic, Tiferet. Let's hear it, Tiferes together. Tiferes. Tiferes is beauty. Let me explain what Tiferes does. You're already going to get the 10th now. The 10th attribute is called the recipient, which was, again, this was Ariel eating the ice cream. Okay, the recipient, which is called in Hebrew as Malchus, in Sephardi, Malchut. Everyone together, Malchus? Malchus is the 10th attribute, okay? Because it's the recipient. And look at this. Tiferes looks, I'm explaining now beauty. Listen carefully. It's not complicated. You're going to get this clear, and I'm going to give plenty of examples. Tiferes looks at the recipient and tells gevurah how much to use in order that the chesed hits, instead of that you're effective, that it actually something happens from the original, seminal flash, I want to do this. How am I going to get this done? This is how I'm getting this done. Seminal flash. Now I'm doing it. Yeah? Gevurah, I got to limit it. I don't want to head in the hardware store. Want to limit it. The Tiferes is beautiful. Why? Because it looks at the recipient, tells gevurah how much to use in order that the right amount of flow comes down the system. So let me give you examples. Remember, the sun is which attribute? Chesed. The ozone layer is gevurah. But the ratio of sun to ozone, with our distance from the sun, is which attribute? Tiferes. It creates the possibility of life on earth. So the guitar, I'm just strumming the guitar, no fret. That's what attribute? Chesed. Put my fingers on the fretboard, which means now I'm limiting the oscillations. That's gevurah. But I look at the recipients, and I say, what song would they want to hear right now? And how big's the room? How hard do I want to strum this thing? You understand? By all the adjustments that we've been speaking about, Tiferes is looking at the recipient and telling me how much chesed should be flowing via gevurah. So a new guy walks in the room, and I give him a bear hug and a kiss. Is that Tiferes? Who's the recipient? The guy who walks in the room. And he's going to walk right out and run away from this strange experience with Rabbi Glaser. Yeah? Whereas I could do another thing. He walks in the room. Let's just say I'm in the room. I'm standing near the door. He walks in the room. And I go up to him like this. And put my hands behind my back. Just go, what's up? What's your name? Yeah. What attribute is that? Is that beautiful? Is he feeling warm? Not at all. But what is the normal thing to do in our society? Stretch out your hand. There's some touch, right? A little touch. Safe touch. Because I'm recognizing the recipient doesn't know me yet. And he doesn't trust me yet. Because he doesn't know if I'm friend or foe. He doesn't know if I'm going to honor him or diss him. And so the recipient's there. And I need to limit my flow accordingly. We become close. We get to know each other. He's feeling safe. Now the recipient can handle a hug. You get what it is? And so you're always in beauty with people. You're always living beautifully with others. when you use this, you're staying Tiferes with people and in life. And so the Tiferes is everywhere around us because the job of the people who designed this room, for example, were looking for Tiferes. And they had to make decisions. It was probably on computer, but they had to make decisions how big these panels would be and what kind of a feeling if we made them like these. Or should we make bigger ones where you really see the pattern play out? And that's all Chesed and Gevurah, just what's going to be the most beautiful? It's everywhere. When they poured the concrete for this wall here, so they had to figure out, it doesn't need to be as thick as the ones downstairs because it's only holding up one more floor. So why waste concrete and why give more weight to the ones downstairs? It's not a smart thing to do in engineering. It only needs to hold one floor. And so they poured the concrete, chesed, into a mold, gevurah. What kind of mold? Well, they say it's the recipients, the walls of the the fourth floor, which only needs to hold up the fifth floor. The last three attributes are back on the right side now, and we didn't do much discussion, but you'll notice that these are all flow, associative thinkings like brainstorming. You get that? Whereas limit is totally analytical thinking. You get that? It's a left side type of thing. So I hire left side people to work with me. I'm always looking to hire left side and to marry someone left side because I'm right. So if someone's left side, they marry right. Okay? You get that? You always go across for this. There's other things you got to deal with when you're getting married, but you definitely want to cross the sides in who you marry. Okay? Now, the next thing is the attribute of what we're going to call perseverance. Perseverance. Okay? Called perseverance or victory. And I don't know why it went up like that, but it's called, in Hebrew, netzach. Everyone try the word netzach? Netzach is very easy to understand. All it is the chesed keeps going. It's got to keep going. Because you can have a like that, but it doesn't keep going. A consistency. It's like a liquefier. You know what a liquefier is? Like there's certain products you buy where they'll put in some kind of chemical that keeps it liquid so it doesn't get hard on the shelves and congeal and like be lame, yeah? This is perseverance. It causes the flow to keep going. If you spray a fire hose, yeah? So the chesed is how it shoots out of the nozzle. But the fact that it keeps going is netzach. That's netzach. Netzach is that it keeps moving. Okay? You can run a sprint race. What attribute is that mostly? Sprinting, 100-yard dash? That's a chesed-oriented thing. But who's going to win a marathon? Someone who has a strong attribute of netzach. Strong attribute of netzach is they know to pace themselves, keep themselves going. The recipient is, I want to win this race. I'm going to have to limit myself. But, okay, great. I can't sprint out or I'm going to wipe out. I'll fall apart after 2 miles. So I've got to know that I've got to limit my speed so that I can win this race. Let's say 3.5 hours of running. So at what point, depending who you are, does your attribute of netzach have to kick in? And we've all been there. We've all been there. If you've ever been hiking and had to make it out, if you've ever been in a family situation where something went wrong and you had to persevere through it and be strong through it, that's all the attribute of netzach. So netzach's not really much of an attribute. It's just the liquefier of flow. It helps the flow stay flowing. Okay, but it's necessary. Why? Because chesed's really a shoot out, whereas netzach's a continuation. It just keeps going. Like electricity has got, a nice attribute of netzach. It makes it all the way from a power plant to this room. Okay, that's a good attribute of netzach. And now we're going to the second to last, the penultimate attribute, and that is the attribute of focus. Okay, which is the attribute called hod. Everyone try the word hod? Hod. And this actually is in food ingredients as well. It's called an emulsifier. It keeps things solid so they don't actually get liquefied. You don't want to open up a jar of peanut butter and just find, liquid in there. Peanut butter is supposed to be a little thicker. Now, peanut butter doesn't need an emulsifier, but there's many things that do. Okay? It keeps things focused. When you shoot that hose, chesed, it shoots out. The netzach keeps it going. But have you noticed that it stays in a circle? If it's a round nozzle, what's the stream going to look like? It's focused, yeah? It stays focused. The ultimate netzach in flashlights is a laser. See, normally a flashlight's got midas and netzach. You can't create or destroy matter, so those photons are going out there, but they're scattering. Hod is like a laser beam. It keeps it focused. So like Hod, for example, for a married person, is to stay focused on their spouse and not to rubberneck someone walking by like the waitress, okay? Hod, okay? Staying focused on that thing. It's from the word todah, to give thanks. Hod is from the word todah, giving thanks, because you're focusing yourself on your benefactor, right? If I give you a pen, and you think I'm there, there's something wrong here. I'm the one who gave it to you. It's a focus, okay? It's a focus, staying focused on what you're up to. A man in a hardware store has lost the attribute of Hod. What happens if a man walks in a hardware store? Yeah, I just need one Phillips screwdriver. He comes out with a shopping cart like 2 hours later, just with like power tools and all kinds of things. And the tent was on sale, like, how can I not buy the tent for $82, And they totally lack Hod. You get that? So, but staying focused and saying, I don't want hardware, I want ice cream. So I don't care how much they're selling the power tool for. I want ice cream. The Gevurah is limiting the chesed. That would be the nozzle. But that actual shooting out is netzach, and the staying round, so to speak, of the water as it shoots is the attribute of Hod. It's this focus. Now think about it, guys. You're in a room that's totally being hoded all the time. God's creating wood, but this wood could liquefy in 2 seconds. If you know anything about quantum physics, this whole room could turn liquid and just become something else altogether. It could morph, except for the attribute of Hod is holding it in place. Attribute of Hod is what's keeping like the floor, the ceiling, the ceiling. You, and the person next to you, someone else. Okay? Without Hod, we'd all be, a little too comfortable with each other. Okay? Hod is just it's keeping everything focused on itself. Okay? Is that clear? Okay? That you're really focusing on what you're up to, and this is such an important attribute for those of you who lose focus in life. You got to have a strong attribute of Hod. By the way, my attribute is Hod. You'll notice all of these. How was I up here in Bina? Weak spot, right? Gevurah, crazy weak spot. Okay, Hod, oh my gosh, like who knows what even time it is right now? The last attribute is the attribute, and this down the center again, which is always this special center. And that last attribute is the attribute of Yisod, which means connection. Connection. Okay, this is called Yisod. Everyone try the word Yisod. Very good. Connection. And then I just got to put down here recipient was Malchus. Okay? It's connection. Okay, so when they poured that concrete, there was a tube that came down and connected it to the mold so it didn't spill out all over the room. Okay? There's got to be a final connection. Hashem's always having in mind our planet when he's doing this ozone layer with the sun. And he's staying connected to that in order that the recipient, that it works. You've got to have that touchstone. You've got to have that. I have ideas I want to share with my kids at night, right? It's my chance, bedtime. I got ideas I want to impart. The problem is the ideas are a little sophisticated for a bunch of little kids. Except when I clothe those ideas in a story about an elephant, a little boy, and a couple of people coming to steal it. And what happens is I dress these concepts by staying connected to the recipient, who's little kids. But using the attribute of Yisod, it connects it, it funnels it right down. It takes all of my ideas up in the 3 hidden, it takes all of the story and everything meaning the ideas I want to impart, and totally like locks them into my kids because of a story they heard that left them once they undressed the analogy of the story, they got the concept. Yisod is by no coincidence, it is the part of the body that procreates both on man and woman, and it's the connection It's the ultimate, expression of intimacy by people who love one another. Okay? That's the attribute of Yesod, because this is all a human body. God said he created us in his image. And look at this. This is your right brain, left brain, the decisive brain. This is your right arm, left arm. This is the chest area, the heart. Okay? This is the this is the right leg, left leg, genital region. And this is your feet, because it's malchut, it's on the earth. Yeah? It's touching the earth. This is the feet are like, fruition, getting to the end. Okay? Everyone pretty clear on that? So connection is Yesod, and that is that's really, here you go. Remember I asked you guys to raise your hand who had heard about the 10 Sefirot growing up, and like about 8 people raised their hand? And I asked how many people understood it, and almost the same exact people raised their hand, because no one ever taught it to them with the attribute of Yesod. Did you guys notice the analogies I was giving the entire time? You notice that? They were always right in the pocket of stuff you would get and think about. And we started with Ariel, so I was being like really personal by using a student in the room and talking about his favorite ice cream. All of that was just my connecting to you and for you to feel special. Yeah, which is Yesod. But for you guys, it was to give an analogy that all of us could get our heads around so we could talk about very esoteric stuff. Do you guys think, after all the years I've been studying this stuff, that I could have given a class that went way over your heads? Totally could have. It might have gone into your head, but it would have gone way over everyone else's head. For sure, it would have gone in over everyone's head, and maybe you would get it too. But okay, but what did I do? I taught the 10 Sefirot, where anyone could walk in this room and get it. What attribute is that? Yesod. Yesod is that touchstone. It's the connection where you take the entire picture and you hand it to the recipient lovingly so that they can receive it in the best of ways. Some people just lack this stuff. I know a great Kabbalist who teaches classes. No one gets what he's saying the entire time. What attribute's missing? Yesod. We don't understand what he's talking about. Okay?